Welcome to General Admission. Today is March 2nd, and Avenged Sevenfold got hacked.
They're going
It's
to say
just
they
so,
canceled all their tour dates.
it's so funny. I saw uh the Florida festival that I went to last year, Rockville. They posted like Avenged is still playing. Like, we don't know what's going on, but they're still playing. I'm like, what are they talking about? So I went over to Avenged Instagram. There's nothing. They deleted everything, and there's just one post that says our accounts were compromised over the weekend and have now been recovered. Our festival appearances have not been canceled. For the time being, please head to our Discord for all future communications. Thank you for your patience.
Need that two-factor authentication.
That's right. Who is hacking Avenged and
Of all bands.
canceling their tour dates? Like, I don't know. There's got to be something better. You get onto Avenged socials, just be like, we are now a Weezer cover band. We're no longer playing Avenged songs.
Could you argue it was almost easy to hack into their accounts?
You might argue it was almost easy. But they seized the day and they pulled it off. So good for them.
Well played.
Oh no.
Takes like all the momentum. If they were going to announce a new album finally, it kind of takes the momentum away from that a little bit.
Yeah. You think it was like some up and coming band?
No. Probably just a jackass.
Who's threatened? Just a jackass.
Just a jackass.
Yeah. That's pretty fun though. Like, I don't know. It's just so
like
random.
I'm gonna hack into their account and just announce
so
their tour dates are canceled. And that's it.
And then they get it back. Just like, no, they're not. All right. Well, that was a fun prank. I guess it could have been worse, so not bad. I'm glad they're back.
It could have been like Rev Lives or something, and then everyone's like,
Jesus.
"Oh my god!"
that would have been bad. That would have been real bad.
So it could have been worse.
Yeah. Are they putting out an album this year? Is it confirmed?
Not confirmed yet, but there's whispers.
Yeah.
Or I should say mostly hopes over whispers.
I mean, it's the first time they've toured in like a while. 5 years?
The Stage? Was that the last album?
Yeah. Which I didn't really. My friend, shout out Blake, is like a big Avenged fan, and he really liked The Stage. So like I don't
Roadmap at Blake.
I know. I want to make that happen. I feel like I didn't give it like a good listen. Maybe like once or twice, and I kind of forgot about it.
I remember like the single, but that's it.
Yeah, that was 2016. So yeah, it's been a little bit.
In 7 years, that's understandable.
I think they were kind of due for a break. Like, I don't know. I feel like they could be a victim of just doing the same stuff a little too much. They're also one of the best concerts I've ever seen and one of the worst concerts I've ever seen.
Because one of the worst concerts.
I saw them right before Hail to the King came out. So they weren't playing anything off of that. And they were like sick of playing Nightmare. And one of the speakers, it was at like I think it was called Music Fest in like Pennsylvania. One of the speakers was out or too low. So I was only hearing one guitar, and like the beauty of Avenged is like getting those sweet
the dueling guitars.
Harmonies. Yeah. So between that and them like not being into it, it was not good. So I hope to see them again because Nightmare Tour was one of the best concerts I've ever been to.
That was phenomenal. That was the PNC show.
Oh, I saw it in somewhere in Philly. Like I want to say Electric Factory, but that sounds way too small. But it was
for like the Monster Energy tour, like one of those they used to do.
This was with, I think, Stone Sour and Hollywood Undead. They had like cemetery gates on the stage that would like go up in flames, and it was just no seats, just run around and like mosh, and It's a really good show.
I think that's the same tour I saw, but it was at PNC.
Yeah, I went to Philly to because Blake was out there again, the aforementioned Blake. But yeah, I'm ready for some Avenged this year. I could get down with that. Did you see the Weezer tour?
I did, but I didn't really pay much attention to it because I know we're seeing them at See Her Now.
Yeah. So they're calling it the Indie Rock Road Trip, and they're taking Modest Mouse, Future Islands, Spoon, Joyce Manor, White Reaper, and Mama. I'm not sure I know Mama.
No,
It's kind of cool. I would love to see Modest Mouse with them, but the date they're playing near us is with Joyce Manor and White Reaper, I think.
I know we kind of touched on this a little bit off air, but it is weird seeing Modest Mouse tour with Weezer.
Right? It is just because I feel like they went in such different directions. Like Weezer embraces the hits and like the pop side, and I feel like Modest Mouse does the opposite of
They do
that.
not, yeah,
Yeah, like we said, what like the 4 or 5 times we've seen them, they've never played Float On.
not once.
No, which like I don't go to Modest Mouse to see Float On, but I think if you're Modest Mouse opening for Weezer, you have to play Float On. Like if there was a contract, that was in the contract. Rivers was like, yo, you have to play Float On or you can't do this.
I can't wait to check Setlist FM on that
Like
first date and
it's
see if
gotta
they
be
actually
like
break it out.
Float On, Dashboard, like um maybe Strangers. There was that one off Strangers to Ourselves that was pretty popular.
The
Like
hit that came out last year, right? Or 2 years ago.
yeah, but imagine you see Modest Mouse open for Weezer and like
Ocean Breeze Salty. They'll break out.
yeah, love that song. Like Modest Mouse should lean into it and just be like, we're playing the hits for this. Which like I would want to see that too. But yeah, they're playing at Forest Hill Stadium in Queens.
The
Queens?
house that Parco built.
That's right.
Loves that venue.
Yeah, it's such a cool venue. But yeah, we're seeing them at See Her Now, so we don't need to try and go
You
on
know,
this tour. It's
it's the
part
year of bands we haven't seen, and we have a pretty light 2023 lineup so far, other
it's
than See Her Now.
it's very light so far. Well, I'm seeing Microwave in 2 weeks.
That's true. You did buy that ticket.
Yeah. Not too late for you to join. I know how bad you want to go to Brooklyn on a Friday night.
You guessed it.
I'm so excited for that.
We need some more tour announcements, though.
There's also Iron Chic and Screaming Females at like Crossroads, I think. That seems I don't know if it's Crossroads actually, but it seems like a really fun tour. I only know
I'd see Screaming Females.
one Iron Chic album, but I love that album. I think it's called Not Like This. It's so good. I'm sure their
Let's see
other
where
albums are
this
good.
is.
It's just they're one of those bands where like sometimes you just like an album so much. Like I don't feel like listening to more. I just want this one because I know it. I can sing it. But yeah, there's only like 4 dates for that, and one of them is nearby.
It's Brooklyn.
Is it a weekend or I don't know. I can be very easily convinced. So if you're interested, we can make it happen.
April 28th, which is
That's far enough away for me to blindly commit. Anything
and they
two
have a
months or
Philly. They
greater,
have
you just
Union
have to say
Transfer
yes
too.
to. I mean,
It's
it's
a
probably
Friday again.
it's easier for me. I'm closer. I got an hour on you in that direction. Unless we did Philly, then you'd be closer.
Which maybe we'll get that fish news this week.
Oh yeah, if we scored those tickets. I keep getting
Find a
emails
Friday.
from their merch team at Dry Goods, and I see their name pop up in my email, and I get all excited. And it's just not. It's not ticket confirmation.
If we both get tickets, we'll have to figure out which day we're going, and then
Yeah, it would have been nice if they gave you the option to put in for tickets like I want seats or I want the lawn. Like I don't know. If we get the lawn, like whatever. Just want to
You
go.
could still. I know we're gonna talk about resale tickets shortly with Alan, but
Yeah.
we could still resell a lawn ticket. I'm sure, right?
Yeah, definitely. I just if it's like a huge difference, like it's still a good time from the lawn. But whatever. We will see when we see.
We see here now.
Yes. See here, Nudge. Uh not too much else this week. Um I listened to Page Avenue this past weekend when I was
Did it
driving
hold
back
up?
from Vermont. Big time.
I might throw that on tomorrow.
It's su it's such a good album and it's so like it's such a nice blend of heavy and not heavy and
Sidewalks,
yeah,
not heavy.
sidewalks and like but then you have like In the Shadows and
Razor blades, I used to love.
yeah. See, that was so far down, like I had forgot about that one. That one was great. Dive Right In, another good one. Like it's a really good album. I'm so excited for their new album. I almost listened to the singles because I'm just I'm itching for it so bad. But
We're very close. It's March 10th that comes out.
yeah, there's 5 songs out right now. Like
They did the
you
what
just
was
gotta
that band we
wait.
listened to last year where they put out like literally like 8 singles.
Yeah,
Memphis May Fire.
yeah. Well, you said March 10th.
We're almost there. You
Yeah, we're
can
real
hang on for
close.
one more week.
I wonder if it'll be a 10 or a 12 song album.
Imagine it's like 7.
It's 4. They just take a song away.
No one liked this single, so he took it off.
I want to go to that tour so bad with the yellow card, but
I'm pissed we'll be away that week. There's
I just
like
want to
two
see
great shows,
Celebrity
of
here.
course, that week that were not here.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have any pony shows lined up yet.
What was the pony show we talked about where like there has to be front bottoms? They have to do
Yeah.
a pony show.
I saw Brian Sellers doing a solo tour.
I did see
Um,
that.
but it's just like a few dates in like I feel like it was like Nashville and like I don't know where else. Just like a few southern dates. But that's cool. Like I would totally see him with an acoustic guitar. Maybe he'd bust out like some really old songs.
Play the pony.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope they announce something for Jersey, but um
They won't ignore New Jersey.
I'm kind of not against driving a little bit. If this is all there is,
It won't be. There's no way.
I don't know. I don't know. I also
They're
might
only
drive
well,
I might drive for Silverstein too, to East Stroudsburg, which is like an
I
hour 20 maybe.
I think they're gonna come around the fall again.
Yeah. I mean, they have to come home. So just play a show.
Yeah. Although is the front bottom Jersey show technically
Adjacent.
adjacent?
Yeah. That's why
That should not
iffy on
count. That should not count.
yeah. Can they even fit all of Talon of the Hawk into a festival set?
I think so because they're later on in the night.
Oh, yeah. So I guess if they're getting like I mean, even if they get 40 minutes, they could do the album.
They're like second tier. That's
I
you
want
get
to
like
go to
15 songs in.
as much as I say I don't need to go to that festival because those bands come around. I would love to go to that festival.
It is a really good festival.
Yeah. It's just like it's like $600. It's so much
And
money.
we already had a festival on the books.
Yeah. But oh well,
We'll
whatever.
see.
You never know. Press passes. Someone give us press passes.
Is 4 Year Strong at adjacent?
I'm not sure. It seems like they would fit. I also I wanted to ask him about when we were young festival because I think they were on that too. I just
You
like
missed a
hearing.
couple questions with him, but I still think you're going to enjoy the interview with Alan coming up very shortly.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We were going back and forth with their publicist for a little bit. So this was long anticipated for Brett and I. So we're excited to bring it to you guys. Think it came out
You
pretty
were trying to
good.
get him before Enemy of the World, the 10-year tour, but then they went on tour and it was hard to get him. But
Yeah.
now he's renovating, so you were able to get him.
Yeah. Then he's off to Europe in like 2 months with the Offspring.
That's
It
a cool show.
doesn't look like they're on a Jason Fest. God, this lineup is so good.
I know.
Oh, Drug Church is on it. Damn.
I still have to listen to that new album that came out last year from
I
them.
I had Cheer on my monthly list, and like I just keep going back to that. I haven't even listened to more yet. I will because I really like
Cheer
this
is
album.
phenomenal.
It's an album I want to be able to sing along to, so I'm just drilling it in. It's like them and Microwave have been like my go-to listening habits lately.
Other than our monthly challenge, which you can end with.
Yeah, we'll get into that after the interview. Um, yeah, I think we could probably send it over to our interview with Alan Day, and we'll see everyone on the other side. Talk a little of our monthly album habits, but yeah, we're excited to bring you this interview. It was a lot of fun.
It doesn't suck to be. I thought you were going to finish it for me.
I thought you were building anticipation to be 4 years strong right now.
There we go. Or I was going to say it doesn't suck to be general admission right now.
It doesn't. Yeah. All right, let's send it over to Alan, and we'll see everyone on the other side. Okay, we now welcome on a very, very special guest. He is guitarist and vocalist for pop punk legends 4 Years Strong. He is Alan Day. He also writes, produces, and scores films. Alan, we're so glad you could make it and that tonight is good for you and you don't have better things to do. Thank you so much for coming on.
I actually have a lot of things going on tonight, and I totally forgot about this. Luckily, I had a alarm on my phone.
We appreciate the alarm.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Yeah,
That's
me
right.
too. Me too. I'm glad I didn't miss it.
Yeah, so what's been going on for you? Like, I know you guys, you re-recorded Enemy of the World and then you wrapped up a tour. So have you been like keeping busy or are you just enjoying some time off?
I don't know how to enjoy time off. I only keep busy. Right now I have this little hole between touring and before I start a bunch of sessions in the studio where I'm renovating my mix room.
Oh.
And that's what I was just doing right now. Sorry, I got up. I noticed I have a pencil in my pencil.
Like contractor.
Yeah, not quite. I wish I was a contractor. I'd probably be able to get it done a lot quicker. But I've worked with carpenters and stuff a bunch over the years, on and off, and I know the basics. It's just a lot of doing the wrong cut and then learning my mistake and doing the right cut. I go through more material.
Yeah. What are you doing to the room?
Oh man, everything. I had an acoustician come and design how to make the room sound really good. So I'm doing all kinds of framing and filling with insulation and fabric and diffusers and real boring stuff.
A cool job title though. Never heard that before.
What, an acoustician?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I don't even think I could say it.
it's true nerd shit.
Oh, I could use that. I got like a foam panel or two, and that's about it.
Same.
Yeah, no, this is extreme, and I am supposed to finish it by tonight. Definitely not going to.
Well, you're welcome for that.
Yeah. even if I wasn't doing this, I definitely wouldn't finish. But yeah, basically, I am always busy with one thing or the other because it's touring is usually what keeps me busy. Recording music in the studio with other artists keeps me just as busy, if not more busy. And then to cap it off, my wife and I live on a farm and we grow flowers and Christmas trees. And that's a never ending source of work as well. So I can feel guilty for not working at any point.
It's quite a way to live. It's nice that
Yeah.
you got the outside part to like the farming gets you out of the studio.
Yeah,
Probably,
yeah,
like,
it's nice. Honestly,
to get fresh air.
it's 99% my wife that does it because that's what she does full time. She's a floral designer and flower farmer. So she takes care of most of it. I'm just the manual labor when something needs to get built or something.
Dragging
So did she
Christmas
show you
trees
the
around.
ropes on? Oh, I just
Yeah.
cut you off, Nick.
No, you got it, Brett. Sorry.
As you said, so like, did she show you the ropes on like how to pick out like a Christmas tree, like what to look for, what not to look for?
Oh, well, I'm the Christmas tree guy.
You are okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure
She
for a
runs
second.
because we grow Christmas trees and she runs the farming aspect. But we've been selling Christmas trees every Christmas for the last probably like 8 or 9 years. And I'm just like that weird guy in a trailer on the side of the road. So I've been doing that, and I'm the one that sells it. My wife sells them too, but she was more on the behind the scenes stuff.
You got one of those machines that you like feed the trees through and it just ties them all up.
No, not yet. I might end up with one. Thing is, we just bought this farm like 6 years ago, and Christmas trees take a really long time to grow. So the trees we sell every year are from other farms in Massachusetts that we go and with a trailer and pick them all up. And ours will be cut. It'll be cut your own. So you can come to the farm, grab a saw, cut a tree. But that'll probably be another 2 or 3 years before we open.
Damn.
Yeah.
We be playing the somewhere from my memory song, like over the speakers when people were coming.
Maybe.
So
you guys actually showed me that song had lyrics. I never knew there were lyrics. I just thought it was like the Home Alone music. I never realized there was actual like lyrics to it.
Oh yeah.
There's
a version in, I think it's Home Alone 2 that has all the like the choir singing the lyric, the kids choir singing the lyrics.
I don't know how I missed that after all these years. I love both of those movies.
They're the greatest movies. Probably my top 2 favorite movies.
Oh, easily.
Well, if 3 ever happens, we put 4 Years Strong in there.
Oh, it did, but we
3
pretended
did
it didn't
happen.
happen. Yeah.
And yeah, let's
3 did. Oh, we don't. That's right.
we don't talk
Technically
about
it happened, but in our minds it didn't happen.
There's actually a 4 and I believe a 5.
Jeez.
I did see that on Disney Plus. There's like a whole like library, and I don't know where the other 2 came from, 4 and 5.
Yeah, they're just trying to cash in on the name, but without Macaulay,
Doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
So you're heading to Europe with the Offspring?
Yeah,
Wow.
we're doing that in May. And it's should be really cool. It's almost entirely sold out already, which is crazy.
Oh, that's awesome. Have you played with those guys? I'm sure like you've Warped Tours and things like that.
The only time I think I have was on the last Warped Tour, which was like just those 2 bigger shows instead of the whole tour. I think it was 2019.
Yeah.
Atlantic City.
Yeah, they played Atlantic City. So that was awesome. They sounded great.
Yeah, we were at that. That was fun. Anytime you see bands on the beach is a good thing.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. I didn't watch any bands standing in the sand, but I can imagine that was tiring.
It takes a toll. Your calves are
Yeah.
burning by the end of it.
And your skin a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after 30 now, just everything like starts hurting all the time. It's really
Yeah, no
fun.
kidding. I've been starting every day. Well, I try to do it every day with like a 15 to 25 minute stretch routine.
Yeah.
I guess I get in the habit of doing that.
It's awesome. It feels so good. And I'm tall. I'm like 6'3". And I am so far from being able to touch my toes. They're so far away.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And since I started
Same.
stretching, I'm like almost there.
Wow.
Yeah.
It seems like it's easy to think like if I do this every day, I can eventually reach, but I just don't believe it. I've been so far away from my toes for so long, but you're giving me hope.
Yeah, it can be done. And the part of the reason I started to like really dig in is because I was telling my dad, who's, 60, mid 60s, like, oh, I've kind of started stretching. He's like, oh, I kind of stretch too. And we were like, he showed me how close he could get to his toes, and he could get closer than me.
And
Like, I was like, okay, I got to do something with this. So I've been stretching, trying to build that habit.
especially with touring, like the last thing you need is to like pull a muscle, and then that would be rough.
Yeah, we just played 4 shows down in Florida, or was it 4 shows? 3 shows. Um, in with Rise Against, and
Love them.
like it was just a quick fly down to Florida, play a few shows, fly back. And that was my first stretch of shows, no pun intended, once I started my stretch routine. And it was amazing. Because usually the first show of a tour, I like can barely move my neck after I wake up the next day. And I stretched right, I think before and after the first show. It was great. I kind
Did you
of
feel like
I kind of started the stretch thing because the last tour we did in the fall, the Enemy of the World tour, Microwave was on the tour,
They're so
and
good.
the singer Nate was stretching every day, and I was like talking to him a lot about it. He was talking about how much it's helped him and stuff like that. So I was like, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah, you gotta like I like to snowboard, and it's getting like if I want to keep snowboarding twice a winter, I gotta stretch probably all year round because it's
Oh,
just
yeah,
getting
at
harder
least.
and harder.
Yeah, got to build good habits.
Right.
I just started reading a book about it because I have the worst habits in the world.
Yeah. It's like discipline versus motivation.
Yeah.
that the Atomic Habits?
Yep.
My wife read that book.
Yeah. Apparently it's
Loved
pretty
it.
popular. It's no secret, but it's really cool because it's just I think the thing that I only read like 1 or 2 chapters this morning, and the thing that stuck out the most was that like goal-oriented thinking, which is what I definitely do, is temporary. Habit forming is like long-term success. Because when you're goal oriented and everything you do is towards a goal and you don't achieve that goal, you give up, which
Yeah.
is what I do all the time.
Yeah, I'm always
Makes you
starting things,
think.
and then it's fun to start things, and then after like a month or two, you're like, oh wait, this is really hard.
Yeah, you can see I started renovating my house and now I have no ceiling.
Well, it's a great
Uh,
time of year to not have a ceiling
I
in
know.
Massachusetts.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife and we always have, I call it the 95% club. Everything we do to 95% because the funnest part of it is over. And it's like, oh, it kind of feels like we did that thing. But then there's that 5% left to like officially call it done. And it's impossible.
Yeah. Tell that to the baseboard on my porch. That's still not there. But the
Yeah.
room's painted. I painted the room. So with like you were talking about like discipline and motivation and building good habits. Like I was just trying to relate that to guitar because that's something that like I've always played guitar, but I kind of like I know like the Blink albums I like to play, and like I have my songs and I never like really progressed past them. I just have fun playing the songs I know. Were you always trying to get better, or how did you like kind of get into guitar like that?
Um, I
You guys
mean,
have some great
yeah,
riffs.
I for how long I've been playing the guitar, I should be so much better than I am.
I feel like every guitarist says
Yeah,
that.
but I've been playing guitar since I was in like third or fourth grade or something. And I mean, I where I progressed the most was like when Four Year Strong started and like when we started to find, what our sound was and what we liked. And really a big kicker was got really into Lamb of God. And that's where the like riffy stuff started to come into play. I mean, I guess we did riffs before that, but like it was between Rise or Die Trying and Enemy of the World where me and Dan got really into Ashes of the Wake by Lamb of God, and we learned the whole record, and we would just literally play the record front to back together, and just because it was so much fun. It was like we realized it was like the perfect style guitar playing that we enjoyed, which was like just chuggy but riffy and tight and like kind of all over the neck, but not sweepy nerd stuff, just riffs. I mean, they had some of that too, but not on that record. And then I kind of plateaued because I just only would pick up a guitar when I was on stage and touring, because we were touring so much for like a handful of years. We were touring like 10 months a year. So when I was home, the last thing in the world I wanted to do was pick up a guitar. And I got really good at playing For Your Strong songs, but not so much else. I've never been the type to like sit down and practice. I definitely wish I was. Maybe I'll build that habit.
Yeah.
But the thing that's helped me, I think, progress a little bit more and step outside my comfort zone, because I'm a similar way where I like have my go-to. If I pick up a guitar, I do a handful of things just like naturally come to me. But working in the studio with other artists that are outside of my band and all my go-to like guitar habits opens it up to try different things and learn other people's songs, which are sometimes, hard. And that I think has been something that's really helped progress my playing and just make it more fun. Because as much as I like playing For Your Strong songs, I've played them so many times.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, you do work with like a ton of bands. I feel like every time I find any like emo or pop punk band and I go to follow them on Instagram, you're already on top of it. I always see your name there. Like, how does he know every band? It's
gotta keep my ear to the ground,
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are lucky to tour with Microwave. I got into them only like maybe 6 months ago or so, but I'm super big fan.
Yeah, they're a great band.
Yeah,
Great band, great people.
that's
Really,
awesome.
we knew them a little bit before that tour. Only a couple of the guys, because we did a very short acoustic tour in like 2017, maybe 2016. I don't remember. But it was like just a few days. And we shared a van. So we got to know Nate and Tito, because they were the only ones that went, the drummer and the singer, guitar player. But love all those guys. Everyone's great.
That's
And
awesome.
speaking of that tour, like obviously, like that was like the 10-year anniversary of Enemy of the World. So I'm just curious, like, because you guys released the re-release of that record last year or this year? No, it is 2023.
Yeah,
2022. You released that. Yeah, there we go. But so I'm just curious, like, what was the decision behind like to re-record that? Was it because it's still on Universal, or?
Pretty much the reason. We knew we wanted to do something for the 10-year anniversary. Like a deluxe issue or something like we had done with other records, but we weren't able to do anything that we wanted to do because it was still under the Universal contract, which we were no longer in. And we had tried for years, even to just repress the vinyl, like not even, a deluxe edition or anything like that. Just trying to get vinyl so that we could like sell it on tour. And we just couldn't do it. Our current label even tried to like buy the vinyl like licensed the vinyl rights from them, and it hit a dead end, and we hit the 10-year, and there was like a sunset clause in the contract which said after X amount of time, which happened to be 10 years, they still own the masters to the record, but the songs can be re-recorded. So we said, fuck it. And we've also, I mean, that record, something I learned about that record when re-recording it and playing it on tour is that holds up to me for like what I think Four Years Strong what is still. Where like, don't get me wrong, Rise Die Trying did great things for us as a band and like really kicked everything off for us. But when we did that anniversary tour, it kind of felt like we were like playing old songs that we don't have as much of a connection with anymore because they were written when we were 16 years old. And also that honestly a lot of the fans didn't seem to have a connection with. Like there's the handful that have stuck around as staples in our live set, and then all the others didn't quite like land lives. But when we played Enemy of the World on the last tour, it really just felt right. It didn't feel like we were like hamming it up with the old songs, and you know, it was fun, and re-recording them was a little bit tedious because you know there wasn't as much creative. Recording is like the funnest part about being a band, I think, and but recording songs to a T exactly the way they were done 12 years ago, it was kind of like data entry, but still fun. And yeah, we re-recorded it with Will Putney, who produced and mixed Brain Pain, our most recent record. And that, I think doing the Enemy of the World tour made me realize how important and how kind of hand in hand those two records go, because Brain Pain, when we recorded that and released it, by far our favorite thing we've done to date. And I know every artist says that about their new music, but to me, it just felt like what we've been kind of shooting for every time we make music, because it had all the bits and pieces that, you know, we've kind of created for ourselves, but then like with a bunch of stuff thrown in that like we like as music fans. Because you know, as that sounds bad, like I don't like our old stuff or I don't like the genre that we're in. That's not true. But what is true is I don't really listen to it actively. I listen to everything else. Not just everything else. I listen to everything. But like getting to incorporate, like Rise Die Trying and Enemy of the World were an exact snapshot of who we were as music fans and writers, incorporating things we like into the music we were making. And then there was a handful of years of, well, we built this thing and now we just got to do this thing. Not that we didn't like it, but it didn't feel like we were putting our authentic current selves into the music as much as when we did Brain Pain. And again, back to doing the Enemy of the World tour and re-recording it and working with Will Putney, who did Brain Pain, on it, we realized that the records kind of work really well together, and Will's production style and everything, like it just worked.
You definitely felt that on these new recordings. Like, it was kind of like the best of what you did then combined with who you are now, and it's like the best of both worlds. It was like came out really great, and like I still listen to it like so much. So I'm glad you guys did that.
I'm glad that's how you feel, because that was the intention, which is why we did it with Will. Will actually assistant engineered on the original Enemy of the World as well, because he was the guy who produced it. His name's Machine. Will was his assistant at the time. So it was kind of a no-brainer to do it with him because he was a part of the original Enemy of the World, and he's also the producer of our newest album that we're all really proud of. So had to be done.
I know you said like you're kind of like the most proud of like the last two records after counting the re-release. So I'm just curious, like, so when you guys made like in some way, shape, or form, like was like the label pushing you to go in that direction, or was that like what I'm fascinated by this time in the band's history?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that was such like a pivot point for the band, and like it's very divisive, but it's fascinating to me. Because I still like a lot about that record, but
that's a whole can of worms. Yeah, that's what everyone says now.
No, even back then I did, because like I'm a big like Foo Fighters, Deftones, Rise Against fan, so like it was in that alley for me while still being 4 years strong. So like I liked it back then, even though I know like the pop punk fans might have given some pushback to say that lightly, but
in completely transparent terms, I believe we were all manipulated to believe it was what we wanted. But it isn't really what we wanted, because none of what it sounds like really was like, again, who we were at the time. It was not really pointing any fingers completely, but it was a combination of management, label, producer that we worked with that was just like we were listening to too many people and not ourselves. And people weren't necessarily wrong. You know, like a lot of people were chirping rise against, rise against, rise against into our ears. Because at the time, and still really, if you thought about like a punk band with guitars in it, you know, guitars and drums, they were at the top, of relatively newish bands that aren't Foo Fighters, that aren't, Green Day, bands that have been around forever. And yeah, we were out on a headlining tour in like 2017 or something like that, I think. And we were all on the bus before the show. We were like, you know what? Because we only play one song from that record that like sometimes is in the set, and it's Stuck in the Middle. And we don't even play it every show, but sometimes it'll be in there. And we kind of had this conversation before the show, like, why don't we play more of those songs? Like, we should own it, like, I know it didn't go well, but like there's some cool songs on there. We should play some of them live. And we put it on the bus, and it's almost like we were hearing what everyone else heard when it came out for the first time, because we had walked away from it for long enough. We were like, oh yeah, this isn't very good. Like, I felt like I in that moment heard its insincerity, and it's like kind of, I don't know, it didn't feel exciting. I don't know why. It's hard to say completely, if it's because I have a bad taste in my mouth from the whole experience. And
it came out pretty quick after Enemy of the World too, which was like,
I think it's a glitch in the Matrix, because it is actually impossible to put out Enemy of the World in 2010, pour the world on it like we did, multiple headlining tours, all kinds of stuff, write and record the next record and put it out in 2011. Literally, I don't know how it's possible. I think we are living in a simulation.
That's the only way.
It's the only
That
excuse.
is crazy. Yeah, you were a glitch in the matrix for us because you were our last live show with Silverstein before the world fell apart in 2020
Where was that?
at Starland Ballroom in New Jersey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
so it was like probably a week, I think, before. I don't know if that was the last show for you, but it was the last show
no.
for us for quite
We
a
must have
while.
been we must have been going south because
Oh,
the
yeah,
last
they lasted
show
longer.
played
Makes sense.
was North Carolina, but we didn't know it was the last show because we had a day off, and then the next day was Atlanta. So we drove down to Atlanta. When we were in North Carolina, we had we were hearing that maybe the California show was going to get canceled, but you know, California. Um, and so we drove down to Atlanta, spent a whole day off in Atlanta, heard that like holy shit, everything's shit because we were hearing like all the like major sports leagues were shutting down for the season, and we were like, what is going on? And we didn't. So we spent all day in Atlanta, not knowing whether or not we were going to play a show tomorrow or go on the whole tour, and woke up the next morning to, yep, we're going home.
And Brain Pain had like just come out then too.
Yeah, we played 8 shows that because the first day of the tour was actually the day the record came out. So we got like not even 2 weeks into the release, and the whole world shut down. Not great timing.
Do you feel like that record like didn't get its due like because of everything that happened? Like, do you feel like it kind of gets lost in that time?
It's hard to say. I think maybe more could have happened with the album if we were able to support it the way we do with the release by going out and playing the shows. Because honestly, it was amazing. Like the record coming out and going right on the tour and playing the songs. For whatever reason, we've always been a band that people don't like our new songs, or people don't care about our new songs. People want to hear their favorite old song, and they don't like the new songs until they're the old songs. Like Wasting Time's, probably one of our biggest songs, and people didn't care about that song at first. We played that. It Must Really Suck, like all the big songs off of Enemy of the World, for like what felt like a long time before they were like the ones that people wanted to hear live. It always felt like, oh, we got to get through these new ones because we got to do that. And when Brain Pain came out, we had released 4 singles, like kind of as we were rolling out the album before it came out, and we played all 4 of those songs on the Silverstein tour, and they were like the highlight of every show. And it was the first time that ever happened. So if we could have been able to keep doing that, that would have been pretty cool.
So you feel like the fans don't really care about like Go Down in History or like self-titled, like they don't really get hyped for when you guys play stuff off those?
Oh no, they do, but they're old songs now. I'm saying
That's
when they
true.
were
Okay,
new,
good point.
when they were new, they didn't care. Like We All Float was our top stream song. And it, like, we played it live for a long time before it became a fan favorite in the set. Don't know why. That's always been the case.
I've always held like that record up with Rise to Die Trying and Enemy of the World. Like I feel like that whole album is great from front to back, and it was like your comeback from in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and I think that that was an important pivot point in our career that we were able to kind of. Oh, I think I just broke this chair.
Add it to the list of things to fix.
One with the ceiling.
But yeah, we were able to dig out of that hole because we kind of broke up after in some way, shape, or form. Not officially, but me and Dan had a phone call that was like, all right, well, maybe we shouldn't fucking even be in this band anymore. Fine, okay, and hung up and didn't speak to each other for like a year or so. Um, but anyway, when we did self-titled, we had done Go Down in History EP was the first, like, all right, we kind of had this like realization that we were like, you know what? Because everyone kind of got jobs and stuff when we were at home, which no one really had before because we were touring so heavily. I don't know why, but we had this realization where we were like, being in a band was way more fun than not being in a band. And like, we just have to find a way to like what we're doing. Because to backpedal a little bit, the in some way, shape, or form came out the way it did, not because it's what we wanted, but regardless of who, like, it wouldn't have been received well because the all the songs we had written, basically we were at a point where we didn't really want to be the 4 Year Strong that people expected of us. It's stupid, we were young, but honestly all the songs we had written and demoed to go into the studio were like basically like Killer's songs. It was like, it was not as radio rock, but more like Coldplay, Killers, like indie leaning, softer, because that's kind of what we were all listening to at the time. And so regardless of how, like, we showed up the first day with all these songs, and the producer we were working with said, I'm not hearing it. We need to start over. And he had a different vision of what the band was supposed to do. And we were young and put our trust in the team of people and went with it. And we rewrote everything and started from scratch. And back to what I was saying, when we did Go Down in History EP, we like realized we just had to find a way to like what we were doing again in the version that people like us for. And I don't know that we fully found it on that EP. It was a little bit of like doing what we thought people wanted, but it worked. And I think it felt authentic because I feel like there are some bands that like do that like hard turn and then try to come back to what they used to sound like, and it's just not quite the same. I don't know if I can come up with an example, but like there's bands that I've always described as like, it sounds like that band sounds like someone trying to cover that band. And that was what we really didn't want to do. We didn't want to sound like, old guys do 4 Year Strong, you know? And when we did self-titled, it was kind of just a continuation of the EP. And the goal was for it to sound like it came out in between, in some way, shape, or form, in Enemy of the World. More obviously, more leaning to Enemy of the World than in some way, shape, or form. But
it's got to be like tricky as a band too. Like you said, like you want to maybe, I don't know, mature or try different things, and then you, on one hand, you might alienate your fans, and then on the other, if you keep doing what you're doing, people might say, "Oh, they just sound the same." Like it's such a fine line. I feel like I would always be worrying about that. If I was lucky enough to be in a band, I would love to have that problem.
yeah, it's not so bad. We complain all these things we could complain about being in it, but you're right. It's awesome.
Yeah. And you mentioned like you guys are great at doing covers. So if 4 Year Strong wanted to cover 4 Year Strong, I'd be down. I mean, you kind of did it with blanking on the album name.
Some of you will like this, some of you won't.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that I thought I was the first half of that. I liked
Yeah.
it.
But it was
But
Dan came up with the name for the album because
hilarious name.
we were just making it, and then we were realizing how far we were going into certain things, and we were like, are people even gonna like this? And Dan jokingly was like, we should just call it Some of You Will Like This and Some of You Won't.
You get ahead of it.
Yeah, and I was like, and it kind of worked because all the like, if we like just really leaned into it, there'd be comments of like hate comments of people being like, why are they doing this? They should stick to the heavy stuff, whatever. Or, but because we named it that, all the negative comments were like, huh, I normally wouldn't like this, but like kind of do. It was like
Checkmate.
they didn't want to be no one wanted to be the ones that don't like it because we were calling out the people.
So you recently covered Brain Stew and Bittersweet Symphony. It's like in the back of my mind, there's part of me hoping that Explains It All Part 2 will come eventually. Like, is that part of any plans
I
potentially?
mean, the idea has been tossed around, but not in a serious way. If anything, it would be more random covers for fun, because we have access to recording studio. I recorded both of those and mixed them, and it was kind of just like fun, easy, and kind of low pressure. So it was. I can't imagine we wouldn't do more of those.
I gotta ask on Spiderwebs on the first one. How did the idea to just throw the This Love breakdown by Pantera onto the end of that happen?
I don't remember how that came about, but it's one of the heaviest things ever written, so it had to. I think we were just excited about it.
If you do Explains It All Part 2, you should just put a Pantera breakdown on the end of every song.
I would love to. They're kind of getting some flack right now for being like a white power band. So
Yeah, but
I don't know how much
I don't
people
know
like.
who that's surprising to. Like,
No, I guess it's not surprising, but
I don't know. I'd still love to see him on that Metallica tour.
I
If
saw
I
a
can
video
get
of
there.
Zach Wild playing, and it sounded horrible.
Oh
Oh
no.
no,
All right, when I don't buy
we were
tickets.
better off then.
Yeah, I forget what song it was, but it was like, just some signature Dimebag like muting like pattern. And I don't know if Zach Wild just like doesn't have like those kind of chops, but like it didn't even sound like the song.
Weird. Uh
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. There's so many arena tours that are so hard to even get to that whatever. If I don't make it, it's okay.
Yeah.
Should Ticketmaster now?
What a mess.
Yeah. It is a mess. It should all be illegal. Everything.
Yeah, we were talking about the Ocean Avenue tour that Yellow Card announced, and those tickets like tripled in price just
Really?
through Ticketmaster. Wasn't even resale. So I'm like, I don't want to spend 120 for that.
It's just crazy that that's
person.
legal because the band doesn't see that.
I think with dynamic, like from my understanding, and I don't know if this is fully accurate, but I thought bands had to opt in to the dynamic pricing, which is when Ticketmaster jacks it up. And I thought they would see it because it's kind of like getting ahead of the scalpers. Like the scalpers are going to make the money. We should make the money. But
Oh, maybe that's
I'm
the
not,
case.
I don't know. It's still frustrating as a
Maybe our
fan.
tickets just have never been so in demand that we have that option. But
You guys are my favorite spot though. Like, I don't know, like 50, 60 bucks at like the Lanes or the Stone Pony or something like that. Like just a nice, good, reliable show that I don't have to like break the bank to go to.
Exactly.
Brutal.
does it cost $50 or $60?
Probably
With
after
fees sometimes.
Yeah.
But what are fees?
That's what I want to know.
Because
Where's that going towards?
Because I'll
The
tell you,
venue?
when we book a tour, we know what our ticket price is. And we almost always try to keep it below $25, depending on the package and how much we need to pay other bands, yada yada. Sometimes it'll go up $1 or $2, but I don't think we've ever had a headlining tour over $30 tickets.
Damn. Brett, do you remember what you paid for the Lance?
That was resale, but it was still only like 41 maybe on resale.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sold out quicker than I thought it would. I waited like 5 days and it was already sold out.
But
We
also,
love easier in Jersey, so
why is resale tickets legal? Because growing up, before StubHub and all that shit existed, it was super illegal to like stand outside of a event and sell tickets. Like people had to do it sketchy, like whisper into people, "Yo, you need tickets," because they'd get fucking arrested if And why on such a large scale is it legal now?
I don't know. It sucks
Like
as fans.
the amount of money that the venue or artist or whatever is missing out on by someone scalping tickets outside of a show is nothing. The amount of money that the artist and the fans are getting screwed out of by StubHub and by resale, and people bots just like buying tickets that are in demand and reselling them for much more, and all this is just, it's crazy how it's legal.
How does it work for you? Like, would you say merch is probably the biggest income for a band?
Definitely.
Yeah. That's usually what we hear. That's why I always buy shirts.
Yeah. No, it's the best. Yeah, I'd say it's the most reliable source of income. Because we try to keep expenses down, but merch is like a pretty consistent expense. It's not like gas prices, and hotel prices in different cities, and like so many things vary so much. So merch is an easy thing to kind of count on. But again, I don't know that we've necessarily been that affected by StubHub or Ticketmaster, because honestly, I don't know that our tickets have ever been so in demand that a bot is going to buy all the tickets to our show and resell them for twice as much. But it's still shitty for everyone else.
So I should correct the record. Friend of the pod, Matt, actually had an extra ticket and I bought it off him. I bought resale for a different show, not 4 Year Strong.
So you bought it from your friend.
I bought it from a friend.
Right.
And it was like 40.
See, but you're not the one to blame for buying resale tickets, because anyone who wants to go to a show should be able to go to a show. And especially if like resale makes sense when it is a show sells out and someone realizes they can't go. They should be able to resell the tickets. That's kind of the only version of that like makes sense.
Yeah.
To me. I saw Nine Inch Nails recently, and you had to buy tickets at the door.
Damn.
Not even day of show. Tickets went on sale, and you had to go to the venue like
day of.
No, I think it was even before. Like you had to pre-sale the tickets, but at the venue.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so you had to like go there and buy the tickets.
I wouldn't mind that. I did that for Modest Mouse once just to avoid paying fees to Ticketmaster. Like I'll drive to Montclair and save the $10. I probably spent it in gas, but it felt right.
Yeah, and I think at the Nine Inch Nails show, you had to like show ID with like proof of purchase, so to like stop resale from happening. Which is I didn't have to do. Our old guitar tech is Trent Reznor's guitar tech now, so he got me into the show. But it feels like that's like the only way to do it. But Nine Inch Nails can do it because they're one of the biggest bands in the world. If we booked a tour and we said tickets are only available at the door, or if you buy them online, you have to show proof of purchase and ID at the door, people would just be like, "Yeah, fuck that, I'm not going."
I think Pearl Jam does something like that because like when they went on tour last year, like there was no resale whatsoever. So I'm not sure how they blocked it, but they did. Like you couldn't buy off StubHub or
Well, they had they tried to sue Ticketmaster, right?
back in the day. Yeah,
Yeah. They were
they were
way
right
ahead of
all
that
along.
one.
Yeah, and it's funny because I feel the same way about Metallica and Napster. I remember as a kid, I was like, "What the fuck, Lars? We're all getting music for free. Shut up, you're rich. Why do you care?" But he was right. He was like, he wasn't doing it because of what he was missing out on. I remember he was talking about like this is like the end of the music industry, and he was kind of right.
And now you have Spotify paying fractions on the song play. But
Yep,
yeah,
yep. It's bullshit.
it's convenience is key though. Like I'll gladly pay for Spotify. Like when the easiest way was to have like LimeWire or BearShare or whatever the number of them was. Like it's just
Yeah.
convenience in the end. Like people just
Yep.
want music. But
Yeah,
now
but
vinyl's coming back.
I have a theory that if for whatever reason Spotify and Apple Music and all the services and then the world somehow made it illegal or impossible or whatever to stream music, I have a theory that if all of a sudden that possibility went away and it was never possible again, and you had to buy CDs or some physical form, people would still do it. You'd have to. People
Yeah.
couldn't live without it. Like we're all streaming it and paying $15 a month to have all the music at our fingertips because it's there. The option is there. If the only option was, oh shit, my favorite band, I mean my favorite band's new record is coming out, I'm gonna buy it.
So would you
You know?
carry a CD player or a Walkman or a cassette player around if you had to carry around music?
And no skip
Definitely,
Walkman.
I mean, I grew up with the Walkman, but a cassette, like it's smaller. I don't know.
definitely. Well, Walkman was the cassette. Discman
This
Oh,
man, that's it. Yeah,
was the CD. And once they came up with the anti-skip thing,
yeah.
great.
it's a game changer.
It was a game changer.
So I should apologize then for like downloading a BitTorrent of "It's Our Time" in college.
Oh God.
How dare you?
You can have it. It's all yours.
Will that one ever be re-recorded?
Absolutely not. We don't consider that part of Rise Right Try as our first record. Because we did what I would never recommend to anyone ever again, which is we started a band when we were freshmen in high school and came up with the band name and then never changed it. Even though we were basically becoming different bands, we were like finding out who we were, lineup changes and, you know, becoming different bands, but never changing the name. So things like that happen now where like we don't consider that part of the 40 Strong catalog, but it's out there with the name on it so you can find it.
Is the
Is
MySpace
that why it's
still
not on
live?
streaming?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
we've
okay.
never put that on streaming. It's horrible. That was my first time ever stepping foot in a recording studio, and we recorded the whole thing in like 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm
There's
still a
something,
sucker for Go Long Dad.
yeah,
all
there's
the
something
music
endearing
was,
to that.
all the music was recorded live, and then we just overdubbed vocals. And I remember the producer that did it, and he's not wrong. Like listening back to it, he's not wrong. His exact words were, you guys wouldn't be so bad if you had someone that could sing. That was a big come to moment because we were like, shit, we gotta maybe try to be better.
And they're like, we got two now.
Yeah.
We had two then too.
It just you couldn't sing that? Like what was the
Yeah,
problem?
we just
He's
were
just
fucking we were
learning.
just
Yeah.
bad. Me and Dan were still both singing at the time. And we were nervous. We were in a studio for the first time. We were fucking young. It was like during school break, my senior year of high school. And we sucked. We sounded bad.
So when you produce for bands now, do you ever like see yourselves in any of these bands? Or are they,
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. But I come at it from it really is like exciting to me. Like working with young artists and helping them develop their sound. That's my favorite thing to do is, and it's because it puts me in the shoes of like, man, those were the best days of my life, when I was like discovering who we were as a band and like, oh, this kind of works. Ooh, this kind of sounds good. And then, that turning into traction, and it was exciting, it was fun, and it was rewarding. So like getting to be a part of that with other artists, it's like kind of living vicariously through them.
yeah, that sounds like a blast. Like, is it, I don't know if hard is the right word, but is it maybe difficult, like working with these bands and sometimes they might have an idea, you might have an idea. Like, is it difficult to come to an agreement on sound at times, or is it just you're all just
No,
bouncing ideas?
no, because it's not my call. Any artist I work with, they always have final say. My job as a producer, as any producer should be, because I've worked with some that are like this and they're my favorites, and some that are not, and they try and push something that you don't want down your throat, and you get something like in some way, shape, or form. Um, it's my job as a producer is for to bring the artist's vision to life in the best way possible, even if it's something they didn't realize they wanted. Like, and you just do that by like bringing ideas to the table. But if it's not sticking, if the band doesn't like it, then it's dead in the water.
So
I
did
think
that
we're,
experience like make you want to be a producer? Like seeing what you guys went through?
I wouldn't say that's what made me want to be a producer. I've kind of always wanted to be a producer. I always kind of had this mentality of like, oh, someday I'll do that. And one day I was just like, why am I waiting for someday? I should just start doing it. And I just like started reaching out to bands and like basically, honestly, looking back, basically lying to people saying I knew how to record them and make them sound good. And I didn't. I just had to, fake it till you make it. And what those experiences did do is I think help me become a good producer, or what I think is a good mentality of a producer, in a sense of knowing how knowing how to get the best out of musicians and keep things fun and inspiring and exciting. Because there's nothing worse than being in what's supposed to be an exciting creative environment and having it feel like frustrating or stressful or uh like scary, like it should only be fun, exciting, and like having gone through experiences that aren't that, I know exactly what not to do.
How was it working with Knuckle Puck? 'Cause I remember seeing them. They opened for Modern Baseball like in 2013 or some. They must have had one EP out with like four songs, and they were just blowing up off that EP alone. I feel like their career, they hit the ground running like really fast.
Yeah, I mean they're great. I just did some like writing and pre-production with them years ago now. Um, before um, what's the record?
The
What the record?
copacetic?
No, it was after Copacetic. It was the one with "Want Me Around"
Was it
on it.
Calendar Days?
Calendar Days
Shapeshifter?
was the it was like a EP.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is it Shapeshifter? Maybe
Yeah.
I
Shapeshifter.
think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And we worked on stuff. We did one song that ended up on Calendar Days. We did another song, which is "Want Me Around" on that ended up on Shapeshifter.
Those lo-fi for your strong songs, do you do those yourself? Do you produce those?
The lo-fi ones? No,
Yeah,
that's just the label did that for like a bunch of
it's
artists.
just random ones. They're
The
kind of cool.
yeah, what we did there we put out Brain Pain Deluxe and it has like a bunch of remixes and acoustic tracks on there. And I did all those. Me and Dan did those. And that was super fun. But they're not lo-fi, they're kind of the opposite. They're like pop songs slash they're like 90s pop meets Nine Inch Nails.
What was like your favorite like '90s music? Because I know like explains it all, but I'm sure like a lot of that was some of your influences. But like, was that a music like that your band's like particularly drawn to?
Yes and no. I feel like everything from the 90s was good. And even stuff that I
Agreed.
didn't care for at the time, now I love. Like like give me an NSYNC song, I'll fucking hell yeah.
That'd be a fun cover.
What's that?
That'd be a fun cover.
Yeah,
Yeah. I,
definitely.
I saw a
It's
drum
hard to
cover of "It's Gonna Be Me." That's now I just like can't help but think that song's awesome on
it's a good
drums.
one.
90s where it's at. 90s and early 2000s. Like, love it.
Everything was better in the 90s. Life was better. I mean, this is great to be on Zoom or whatever, but like I have a theory that everything was better without the existence of the internet or has how available it is now.
No, you're definitely right about that.
Specifically with social media.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
Like
mean, it's all worse.
it's getting out of hand.
it's way worse for everybody. And I'm just as bad as everyone else. I'm not like on some high horse here. Like I'm staring at my phone all the time. Part of why I need this Atomic Habits book to change my habits. Because no one likes to start their day doom scrolling on their phone about all the fucking garbage that's going on in the world.
Yeah, it's rough.
Do it every day.
So, how'd you get into film scoring?
Well, I don't do that much scoring. It's something that I've always like wanted to dive more into. I've done one short film and I've done a lot of like commercial work. Um,
I saw
but
the Odd Men Out clips on your page. That looks
yeah,
pretty
yeah, that
cool.
was a short film I did. And honestly, it was like it was super fun, but it was someone that my wife worked with when before she started doing the farm full time. That was like part of the crew doing this, and I randomly was like, "Yo, let me score." Like talk to the director, let me score whatever you're working on. And they were like, "Fuck yeah!" And they just kind of let me do whatever I wanted,
That's
and
the
it was
best.
and that was my honestly my first experience with it. So sometimes I go back and I'm like, ew, that could be way better. But it was super fun.
You got a IMDb credit out of it, so that's pretty rad.
I guess I made it.
Wow, this has been so fun. Like, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Before we let you go, though, like I know you said that you're finishing up the studio. Will there be a new 4 Year Strong record coming from that studio in the near future?
Hopefully, we've been doing a bunch of writing. Um, there's no actual plan for release of anything because nothing's actually recorded or finished yet. Um, but we will be releasing new music hopefully sooner rather than later.
Looking forward to that.
Me
Yeah,
too.
definitely. Have fun in Germany,
Oh, I will.
Europe. Yeah,
I will. It'll be a good time.
yeah,
Hey, this was awesome, though. Thank you so much, Alan.
No
Yeah,
problem.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Take care.
All right, we're back. Thanks again to Alan. That was awesome.
So much fun. Probably one of my favorite interviews we've done.
Yeah, he was so cool. I love talking Christmas trees with him at the beginning.
It's a great little icebreaker. No pun intended.
Like, they got to get one of those things though. Do
The
you know what I'm
rappers.
talking about? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that go on top of cars.
Yeah, you like just stick it through and it like ties up the whole tray.
Sure, he'll get one when he's rolling in the Christmas tree business.
Yeah, so I've been listening to them like nonstop to prep for that interview and because I like them. But
Same. I made like a whole
yeah,
like playlist of like all their albums and just hit shuffle and just
nice.
let it go today.
Yeah, I was kind of going album to album. I was doing Enemy of the World a lot, obviously. But then I
The
went to
re-recording.
no, so I was doing the first one, and then earlier I did the re-recorded. The screams are different because
They are.
you said
It
it's a
is
different guy.
different member. Yeah.
Yeah. But also the guitars sound crisper. Like, you know how last week we talked about the Silverstein Redux albums? I feel like the guitars
Same
kind of give
concept.
me like those vibes on this, where it's like they're just way crisper.
They're like better musicians now, in a way.
Yeah. It was funny how he referred to it as like data entry though. Like re-recording it.
I can't believe I guessed right there that they did that because they wanted to take it back, like Taylor Swift has been doing.
Yeah. He answered my one I was gonna ask because I feel like it's too weird a loophole that they could just like re-record the exact songs. But he said after like 10 years, like they lose some sort of like rights or something.
Like they still have the masters, but they could still re-record them.
Yeah, like they're not gonna
What I
like
got from that.
copyright infringe them. They'll copyright infringe me if I try to recreate the album.
Universal will.
I wish I could recreate it well enough that they'd actually do that. They'd be like, this doesn't sound anything like it. This is so bad it's offensive.
It's in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. So
Very honest answer about that, which I'm still blown away by.
yeah. Yeah, he didn't hold back like
No,
anything. And credit to them for almost calling it quits and then not, because you can't let one setback make you
I
quit.
can't.
Yeah.
I can't tell if he broke news there or if like that was like a known thing that they kind of broke up after that.
Everything I saw or read or heard while researching was that he was adamant that they didn't break up. So I was very surprised to hear him say to us that they kind of did. But
That's why I was wondering if he broke news. Cause remember when we were prepping, you mentioned that point.
I'll pull only that clip and just plaster it on social. Just kidding. Just kidding. So we're recording this on February 28th, which is the final day of our album a day listens. How you feeling?
Tired.
Yeah.
People like
Yeah.
it's a fun challenge to do, but there are days where it feels like homework. And listening to a new album shouldn't feel that way. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of debating if I want to still do this going forward or if I just retire it after this year.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I could maybe do something where you pick like 23 songs and then you get some wiggle room. Cause like I was up in Vermont this past weekend and I forgot my headphones, which is a horrible, horrible thing to do. Like I haven't forgotten my headphones on a trip since maybe like I was like 12. To go away without headphones was bad. And now with
Like being naked.
these stupid ass iPhones, like I can't just buy a $5 pair of headphones from a gas station because it has to have the lightning thing or whatever
I mean, the
whatever it
converter
is.
piece.
Yeah, we were at Mount Snow and I went into the ski shop. I was like, "What's like your cheapest headphones?" And they're like, "Oh, these Bluetooth waterproof headphones that go inside your helmet are 180. These are the cheapest." I'm like, "Well, no, I don't want that."
No, I don't want helmet headphones.
Yeah, so I failed. I failed at the album a day. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean,
I had one, two, three, four. I had five that just didn't They didn't make it.
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen. I had, we were prepping for this interview. I missed 2-3 days in Vermont, and I just decided I want this
That's
interview
it.
to go well. I'd rather just listen to a lot of 4 Year Strong.
Just fair. I mean, I cheated along the way. Like if I knew I had a busy weekend, I would listen to like my Saturday, Sunday on that Friday.
I considered it a few times. I thought you would somehow know, and I'd get like fined. I thought there
No,
were referees watching me.
no referees.
Damn.
Like the Patriots filming practice, kind of, but not really.
So I was in Vermont, and it was just like Saturday morning, like after drinking and hanging out, boys' weekend. Um, I just needed to get out of the house. So I'm like, I'll just go put like gas in the car and just like look around Vermont for a little bit. And my album of the day was Bad Brains. And I put it on, and it's just like raw, fast DC punk rock from like early 90s, I think, maybe even late 80s.
Like the 80s.
I got like 2 songs through it. I'm like, I can't do this right now. I really can't. So then I just put on 4 Year Strong, which is also fast, but it's just a little less raw.
Yeah, a little more put together.
Yeah. I wish
don't know,
I wish I'd put on that Some Will Love It, Some Will Hate It album, because that would have been a nice, like, calm Saturday morning album.
It's a good weekend morning
Yeah.
record.
I'm gonna go back to that one. I never really like dug into that too much, but I really enjoyed it.
I had a joke for that I wanted to make to him, but we didn't get there.
About the beards?
About the beards. Like, do you guys ever consider shaving your beards? It would have been really funny if you did around this album tour.
Like, who are these guys?
Some of you will like to be shaved, and some of you won't.
So, what are your biggest takeaways? Did you listen to any albums this month that you think you're gonna stick with?
So probably the ones from this weekend, actually, because every time I listen to like the Talking Heads, I'm like always happy with what I hear. And I listened to Remain in Light, and like it really hooked me. And same with like LCD Sound System, where it's like dancing music, but like kind of punk at the same time.
Yeah,
If that
they're
makes any sense at all.
a very unique band. I remember when they like, I don't know if it was a reunion or what, but they like sold out a bunch of days in Brooklyn
Like 17
like
days or something
a few
crazy.
years ago. Yeah, and everyone was so psyched, and I just felt left out because like I never really listened to them. So I tried listening to them during that, and yeah, your description is spot on. They're very like unique sounding band.
Yeah. They were fun though. But yeah, like then I know like we like the Stevie Nicks album. Uh Still from the first week though, like Bad Religion. I've been listening to Suffer a lot. I'll probably dive deeper into their stuff now that this month is over. By Melm was good still.
You
I feel like
listen to Superchunk today?
I yeah, I did like that. I'm probably gonna listen to it again tomorrow because like I kind of listened to it really quick this morning because I wanted to get to 4 Year Strong listening.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
you like that one, right? No Pocky for
yeah, yeah. Just like a fun, like good sounding 90s, like that, like alternative rock. I don't know how to like it's still like raw enough that like it doesn't sound like corny or anything, but like I don't know. It was just a really good album.
And what's the deal with them? Like they're just very influential,
I think so.
or like
Like I feel like I've heard them referenced by bands I like for like my whole life, and I never really went out of my way to listen to them. Because that album, they were doing it pretty early on. Like I guess 1990. It looks
they
like
were
they did
pumping them out for a while.
it looks like they did an album a year till like 2000 practically.
Which is wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll listen to more of them.
What about you? That were there any that you were gonna stick with?
Drug Church Cheer is like I
That's a
cannot
great
get
one.
enough of that album. I've listened to it multiple times a day. since then. Um, that's really it's really my biggest one. Some of the country guys like Jason Isbell and the 400 unit, that was pretty cool. And I've always kind of been like without sounding too much of like a hardo, but like the pop country stuff, like it's so annoying. Like I really don't like it. And it kind of put me in that like, oh, F country, like it's all stupid. And like that's not really the case at all. It's a pretty horrible take. It's just like the radio country I stand by being awful. Um, but like you have these guys like Jason Isbell and who's the other one I had on here? Sturgill Simpson is like so good.
Sturgill's great.
Yeah. And like these guys, I was reading that like they get lumped in as like Americana for some reason. And they all like apparently joke about it. Like these artists, they're like, yeah, I don't know. Country something else, I guess, but they're like, I think I'm country.
You got to listen to Southeastern by Jason Isbell.
Okay.
It's more like singer-songwritery
Yeah.
as opposed to like pop country.
Yeah. Because there's plenty of moments in my days where I want singer-songwriter stuff. And I think like this type of singer-songwriter, like this country style, is just like great stories and then just killer guitar. It's like what's not to love about that?
Like his song Elephant will like just like crush your soul.
All right. What's the album called again?
Southeastern.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll do that. Queens of the Stone Age Songs for the Deaf was
So I can't believe you
incredible.
never listened to that one before.
Yeah, this one like I was listening to it and I was like feeling like ridiculous listening to this and knowing that I never listened to this before. Like, I mean, I recognized a handful of songs off it, but I just never put it on front to back, and I was missing out very much.
The classic.
Yeah. Um, yeah, those were like the biggest ones that I think I'll go back to. The others were cool. The Stooges were good. They were not what I was expecting. At least the album I listened to, Funhouse. I could see myself digging into them a little more. Yeah, then the ones I missed were I had an As I Lay Dying album, The Spill Canvas, Outcast, and David Bowie were my last four. It was fun though. It made me realize that it's very easy to listen to an album. And also if you do it every day it becomes very hard. But like giving 40 minutes to listen to a record is really not that hard to do.
It's if you pick a long one, it gets a little more challenging.
Yeah. It also depends how you listen to it, like none of these albums I was sitting on the couch listening to it and doing nothing else, which I think some albums deserve, but like I don't really do that for any albums anymore.
No, same
It's
here.
always like just a soundtrack to whatever I'm like doing in life. But there were moments where like I'd walk Jasper in the morning and like that would get me through like 3 songs. And those 3 songs I'd really listen to. And then I'd put it on in the car and now I'm half paying attention to driving and like not listening to it the same as when I was just walking. It's like you miss stuff. And that's why you listen to albums like a lot if you really like them, because the best albums you continue to find cool new stuff with every listen.
Especially like if you listen at work, like a lot could slip through the cracks.
Yeah. I did a decent amount of replaying songs and also a decent amount of, oh, there's 50 seconds left in the song and they're just going to do this riff for the rest of the song. So I'm going to hit next. Whoops.
Also a good strategy.
Flag on the play.
So would you do this again or just like a one and done for you think?
I would do it again. I would just like a little bit of wiggle room.
I think
Like,
that's fair.
like even 25 songs to just have like 3 days in there where if you just feel like you can't get to it, you don't feel like, it's like working out. Like if I was working out consistently and I miss a day, and then you just stop going altogether because of that. Like with this, I missed a day and I felt like I failed. Like that kind of
You always double up.
excuse me. Yeah, I should have definitely doubled up, but oh well.
I don't know. I feel like the whole purpose behind this kind of died though. Like it started off as like a Twitter trend to make Twitter like a better place for people to just share their music thoughts instead of like all the vitriol on there all the time.
Yeah.
But all of this got buried this year, and like it was definitely there were definitely fewer people doing this than there were in the past. I don't know if like they're doing it on like maybe it's on Reddit now, maybe it's on Instagram. I don't know because like Twitter is like slowly dying itself, so maybe that's part of the reason why. But like I used to have like some great conversations with people just finding like my thread
Yeah.
like from the hashtag, and like I had none of that this year, and that's the first time I haven't had random people pop in.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I got some of that in real life just because, to no surprise, I like to talk about music with people. So I would tell plenty of people about this idea, and then like I had friends like, "Oh, what album are you listening to today?" And just it was nice, and it was a good way to listen to some of these like classic albums that I've missed in my life. But it doesn't have to be a February game to do that. Like you can
No,
just pick an album one day and be like, I'm gonna put this on.
it's true.
It's not that hard. It doesn't have to be daunting. A lot of times it's daunting for me if an artist has 10 albums out and I don't know any of them. It's like, well, I'm not gonna even try. But
Yeah,
you might fall in love with one. So like, I don't know, give
like
it a
me with
shot.
fish.
Yeah. That was like, man, it's like I gave you a taste of crack and you were like on the streets the day later.
That is pretty much what happened.
Refreshing your email inbox for summer tour dates. Hopefully we'll know soon.
Also, what was the Lamb of God record that Alan mentioned? I want to listen to that tomorrow
Yeah.
to see where they got
Uh,
like these riffs from. Was it Ashes of the Wake?
that sounds really good. Yeah, it was 2004
I'm playing this tomorrow.
or 2004 is when this anniversary album was. I don't know if that's when it actually came out.
He was like him and Dan learn to play the whole thing. Like that's pretty awesome. I want to hear what like got them going.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my thought. I was like, oh, he said he was not good at guitar at the beginning, so I mean, and by his standards, like I bet he's pretty damn good. But
They just had like fun, chuggy riffs. For your strong.
yeah. Yeah, I just played like the first 7 seconds of Laid to Rest in my headphones, and you it's gonna be a
With the
fun
chuggy.
listen. It's gonna be a really good listen after listening to 4 Year Strong for 2 weeks, because I think we're gonna see where they were coming from with a lot of this.
See the influence or hear the influence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was great. That was a lot of fun.
Got to see who we get next now.
Yeah.
And plan our next roadmap too.
Yeah. Yeah. If any of our listeners are passionate about a band and want to roadmap them, hit us up because we're having a lot of fun with those. And it seems like you guys like them. They're doing pretty good listen wise. So keep them coming.
So I think April we will have friend of the pod Parko back to walk us through the National before they put out a new album.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know. That'll be the first roadmap where I really don't know like anything about the band. So that'll be pretty fun to go in blind.
I remember listening to their album Boxer and really liking it, but that was the only album I ever listened to.
Are they a band where like the lead guy was in other bands? Is this like a postal service type thing?
I don't think so.
Oh, all right.
No, he was recently working with like Taylor Swift on those albums that came out in 2020, I want to say.
Huh. Well, that'll be cool. Do we have any new music coming out? Like I know we're getting towards busy season. Things are
Yep.
gonna start dropping.
March is like there's one day where there's like 5 that come out in a day.
Oh, it's so awesome.
Let me see.
It's gonna be a lot of listening for us, but we're well trained
so
after February.
this Friday, De La Soul, the rap group,
Yeah.
Finally, all their music is finally going up on streaming.
Oh,
So I'm gonna be doing a little deep dive of them this weekend probably because like I really wanted to listen to their stuff for the longest time and couldn't. And one of them just passed away in the last couple weeks too. So it's kind
okay.
of bittersweet that it's finally getting on streaming.
Yeah. All right. That's cool.
But
That's good to know.
next Friday, story of the year, meet me at the altar, Manchester Orchestra, and if we want to dabble, Miley Cyrus.
I'm down to dabble.
Because her last album was like Pat Benatar like
I've
in a
always
way.
I've always liked
So
Miley. I used to get into arguments with Goldie in college because I would say Miley Cyrus is punk rock, and he would get so mad at me.
and then she dropped the punk album.
I just thought she was punk rock in the sense that like she seemed to do whatever like the fuck she wants, and I thought that was cool. But I also just like pushing Goldie's buttons. But yeah, I'm down to listen to Miley's next album. All right, cool. So I think that'll do it for this episode. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We love you all, and we'll see you next week.
David Bowie.